thank you for that. Mr. McClellan, let me circle around a person whose name has come up a great deal today, and that's Karl Rove. You state in your book, and you reiterated to the committee several times, that Mr. Rove encouraged you, allowed you and encouraged you to repeat a lie. You've said a number of things about Mr. Rove, and you've indicated that you've known him for some period of time. So I want you to kind of give the committee some advice on how to deal with the little situation that we have with Mr. Rove right now. The committee has extended an invitation to Mr. Rove to do what you've done, to come and appear under oath, to allow anyone who wants to ask you questions to do so. Mr. Rove has, not surprisingly to you, I suspect, declined the invitation. Mr. Rove has come back and he said to the committee, well, I'm willing to talk, but only if there is no oath, only if there are no cameras present, only if there are no notes made of what I have to say. And let me just ask you, based on what you know of Mr. Rove, Mr. McClellan, does it first of all surprise you that Mr. Rove is seeking limitations on the manner and the circumstances in which he would appear before this committee?
No, it doesn't surprise me, and I think it's probably part of an effort to stonewall the whole process.
I'm going to ask you two pointed questions. Would you trust Mr. Rove if he were not under oath to tell the truth?
Well, based on my own experience, I could not say that I would.
And in fact, if Mr. Rove were under oath, would you have complete confidence that he would tell the truth?
I would hope that he would be willing to do that, and as you point out, it doesn't seem that he is willing to do that, but based on my own experiences, I have some concerns about that.
Mr. Rove did testify under oath before the grand jury investigating the leak a number of times, did he not? You have to answer orally.
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
You don't believe he told the complete truth to the grand jury under oath when he did testify?
I don't know. Since I haven't seen his testimony, okay. I do not know.
You state at one point, there was a very pointed sentence, you say that Karl was only concerned about protecting himself from possible legal action and preventing his many critics from bringing him down. Do you believe, based on what you know of Mr. Rove, that he is capable of lying to protect himself from legal jeopardy, sir?
Well, he certainly passed on false information or lied to me. That's the only conclusion I can draw. So based on my own experience, you can appreciate where I'm coming from.
Do you believe, based on what you know of this gentleman, your experiences with him, that he is capable of lying to protect himself from political embarrassment?
I would have to say that he did in my situation, so the answer is yes.
You talk about an administration that, in effect, came up with a strategy to go to war in Iraq and was not candid with the American people about the reasons. You suggest an administration that was so conscious of spin, so conscious of protecting itself politically, that it would shade facts and shave off elements of the truth. You know that this committee has been investigating for about a year and a half allegations around the firing of the U.S. attorneys. I know that happened after you left. I want to ask you again about the state of mind of this administration. Is the Bush administration that you know, Mr. McClellan, capable of coming up with a false story as to why the U.S. attorneys were fired?
I would hesitate to try to characterize that because I have no direct knowledge of that.
What about capability from what you know of them?
I don't have any direct knowledge of that, so I would not want to make a broad sweeping statement on the administration itself.
If it were suggested that the administration had come up with a cover story to conceal its true motives, would you say that you had seen the Bush administration do that kind of thing before?
Again, I don't want to try to speculate about that since I don't have any direct knowledge of it.
Have you seen them do that before?
Have I seen them do, I'm sorry, repeat?
Come up with a cover story that conceals their true motives?
Well, I certainly think in the Valerie Plame leak episode that it's clear today that, instead of hiding behind the cover of a investigation or legal proceedings, that the administration was more interested in simply stonewalling on this issue and not getting involved publicly. We said that we would provide.
Let me stop you just simply because my time is running out. I'll get 2 more points. With respect to Mr. Rove, as you may know from reading news reports, there have been allegations that Mr. Rove may have attempted to influence the prosecution of at least one individual, a fellow named Siegelman, who was governor of the state of Alabama. I suspect you have no factual knowledge of that, but let me ask you this. How long have you known Karl Rove?
I think it's going back to the early 90s, 91, 92.
Do you have a sense of how he thinks about politics and how he thinks about people who are on the other side of him?
Well, he views the other side as the enemy, I think. He's one that plays bare-knuckle politics.
Is the Karl Rove that you've known for 15 or 16 years, Mr. McClellan, capable of attempting to influence the prosecution if he had the power to do so?
I don't have direct knowledge of that, so
that's not what I asked.
I know. I would hesitate to try to speculate on that question as well.
Let me just end, if I can close out, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Delahunt, my friend from Massachusetts, gave me a document. There's a particular quote here that I think is appropriate given some comments by Mr. King. Quote, "To announce that there must be no criticism of the President or that we are to stand by the President right or wrong is not only unpatriotic and servile, but is morally treasonable to the American people." That quote comes from a noted Republican who held the office of presidency named Teddy Roosevelt. And I end with that, Mr. McClellan, because I suspect there are some in your party who will tell you that you've somehow read yourself out of the party by coming here today and writing this book in the candor with which you have. I would suggest that you may want to point out to them that there is another tradition in the Republican Party other than the cutthroat ideological warfare that your former administration has practiced for 8 years. Teddy Roosevelt represented it.